People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. I hope you're all well and safe. We might as well crack on with some Arsenal rumours. 99% of it is nonsense and it amounts to nothing. But there's no football, there's nothing to speak about. Although Premier League football, Man City versus Arsenal, is to return on the 17th of June, which is of benefit to all football fans, including myself. You know, even regardless of, match fitness and all of these sort of things, you never want to play City. You definitely never want to play City when you've got a team like Arsenal, which sits ninth and stuff like that, against a team that is second and, bunch of sick players. It's going to be peak for us. It might be, this break was welcome for Arsenal fans and we might be regretting it once it comes back. But on a serious note, let's crack on with some rumours. Now, allegedly, Adil Aouchiche, can never pronounce his name, a 17-year-old attacking midfielder, could leave Paris Saint-Germain this summer, and Arsenal boss Arteta is keen on him. Sources have told ESPN it suits Arsenal's recruitment strategy in terms of signing young talented players who don't cost much, which it does. ESPN went on to say that Arteta has been tracking him and is keen on him, and says despite making 3 appearances this season with the first team, scoring 1 goal, he and his family believe the right call for his development is to leave the club. Now, again, from just as someone that watches PSG, for a lot of what you've heard is why he's been alienated from the first team is over this contract. If he's not signing a contract, he's not staying. And they've also got Kyle Reese as well, who's been linked with Chelsea, also in this contract issues. And ironically, 3 man I made a vid on over a year ago, so that you lot going, oh, DG's a genius. Not that I'm a genius, I just watch football. They're all contracts over nothing. You've got Kouassi, who at 18 or so years of age is a man mountain, linked with Leipzig, and he's going to be one of them in a couple of years, in my opinion. Like, oh, he costs 50 million. You've got Kyle Reese, who reminds me a tiny bit of Morris in his style of play. How good he wants to be is down to him. And I believe Adil's a bad boy. He's shown it playing in the Al-Class Cup for PSG. He's shown it in the Youth Gem for PSG. He's shown it in the Under-17s Euros, where I believe he was top goal scorer. If not top goal scorer, was one of them. It could have been that, or it was the Under-17s World Cup. Either way, I know you lot know what I'm on about. I love him as a footballer. I really want this to happen. Like I've said, I've made videos on my man before. I think he's a lovely footballer. He's got an eye for goal, which can be developed, and he could become a midfielder who gets a fairly decent amount of goals. He's got good balance. He's I wouldn't say dribbling is necessarily a strength of his, but he can dribble. He runs beyond the last man. He's got lovely range of passing. He's got all the technical qualities you look for in an Arsenal player. There is obviously a lot of holding on to do physically. If he's going to play men's football, he needs to develop. He can do things a bit quicker at times, and there is probably a bit of refining to do in relation to his playing style. But at 17, 18 years of age, you can't ask for much, and I think on a free, he will be worth it. He will be one of them players that could be sold for much more than that. France is a gold mine, and to be fair, I don't think we're going to get him, but I'd love him. I would love it to happen. I mean, every report you see of a young player, apparently Arteta is keen on them and things like that. So I don't know if that's legit or they're adding their own 2 pence into that. But I think it would be decent. Maybe, obviously, it's tough for most young players at PSG. So the right call for him would probably follow what a lot of people are doing. Is going to the Germany, developing for a bit, and, the world's your oyster beyond that sort of thing, people. And he knows how to score goals, and he's a threat from set pieces, so I would like him. We've also been linked with Rabbi Matondo, the former Cardiff and Manchester City man, now obviously playing for Schalke. Not too sure how much I buy the reports into the 19-year-old lad, because he's just he went last January. He's been there a year or so. Why would he want to move back already? He screams to me someone that takes his development seriously and will not leave until he wants to develop. Like, I know he's born in London, but he lived in Wales. Not too sure if he was at any other teams before Cardiff, but he took the step to leave Cardiff and go to City for his development. He saw that this thing wasn't popping off at City, so he kept it moving, and he left to go to Germany, and not a place where he can hone his talents. And to be fair with you, he is finding his feet to a degree this season, but I still think he's still from an outsider looking in, who's not watching religiously, I still think he's a regular in the team, but he's not a first name on the team sheet sort of man. He still needs to do that. He still needs to, through playing good and developing, become more important to the team, because I don't think he's that important to the team. Obviously, he's a talented young player with a future ahead of himself, and he might, a year from now, he might make this look stupid, but right now, does he scream go for him when we've got the Sakas, the Martinellis, Pepe just bought, Nelson? I do think we could sign a wide forward, but I think it should be a thing where they're glaringly better than what we have. Will we have the money to do that is another thing. Obviously, he was signed for signed to Schalke for about 10 million or so. I could be wrong, but I'd imagine they want to make a healthy profit on that, which would be good for them. They had him a couple of years, they can make a profit. Would it make sense for Arsenal? He's made 20 odd appearances, and I don't think he scored 2 goals or 10 goals. I think he's bagged once, people. I could be wrong. In the league, in the Bundesliga, where that is regards. And I'm not trying to, criticise him. I'm just saying he's still developing. So would it be the wisest thing to move for the 19-year-old, people? Apparently Arteta is said to be keen to bringing him back. Obviously he must have trained with the first team. Arteta has some knowledge on the player. If he comes, I would welcome it because he's a decent player, but I don't think it's going to happen, people. So we'll have to see what happens in that regards, man. Moving away from that though, allegedly, sources have told ESPN Barcelona want a loan agreement for Coutinho to include a fee of around £10 million, euros, whatever it said. It's got the pound sign. I don't know if they meant euros. Plus, the buying club would be required to cover all of his 250 a week wages. The player was offered to Arsenal and others, but no club is ready to accept these terms. And this was reported by James Ollie. And I mean, that is an expensive outlay, especially with Arsenal's problems financially, Coutinho's age, and obviously the COVID business. I mean, if it was just based on player, Coutinho's got qualities that Arteta can utilise, and Arsenal fans we kind of need in our team. But, what is he, like 28 now? 10 million, which is going to mean we spent around, 15 million on loan signings in this attacking midfield role now, in addition to Ceballos. 10 million plus covering his 250k a week wages. Is it the best spend of our resources? Obviously, he might have to take in line with the wage cuts that's been introduced. But if I'm a player and I see Arsenal have money to put in a 10 million fee for a player that's going to go back to Barca next season and cover all of his 250 a week wages, I'm going to look at them sideways and say, why am I taking a cut, sort of thing? So financially, it doesn't seem viable, people. It really doesn't seem viable. Moving away from that, though, and apparently, despite interest from other clubs, this is James Ollie again, Hector Bellerin is set to stay at Arsenal. Sources have told ESPN that he's fully invested in coach Mikel Arteta's vision for the future. Moving quickly to centre-half, though, Arsenal, and 1 minute this guy's going Chelsea, then he's going Everton, then he's going displaced, then PSG, then Arsenal. We've been linked with Leo's Gabriel again, the centre-half. Arsenal remain in contact with the entourage of the Leo centre-half Gabriel and have been interested in the signing of the player for several weeks. The possibility of a move advancing concretely for Arsenal remains possible in the coming weeks. That was tweeted by Alex Bernard 10, who I think works for the 10 Sport. Keeping up with centre-halves though, people, and I'm not going to go over the Luis thing again. Check out my old vid for that. But apparently ESPN say Arsenal want to stress no final decision has been taken, but allowing Luis' deal to run this season close to its expiry is an indication of the financial pressures Arsenal were working under even before the coronavirus pandemic. David Luiz is widely held to have been important to Arsenal's improved form under Arteta, but there are understood to be mixed reviews on the Brazilian among Arteta's coaching staff, including suggestions that his influence in the change room is not always used positively. And maybe, you've always got to be fearful of the Ozils, of the David Luizes, of players that are very good for the team, because there's always another way. He influences positively, he can always influence negatively. So I think that's ESPN adding their 2 pence. Or naturally, it wouldn't surprise me if people thought differently. Crucially though, David Luiz leaving would remove a six-figure weekly wage from their books and perhaps allow more wiggle room for contract talks with Bukayo Saka and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, we found out allegedly there's been no progress on the Saka one, so I don't know what to make of that. Aubameyang, I'm not going to get into it, but it is what it is in relation to David Luiz. Also, finally, happy birthday to Lacazette, who turns 29 today at the time of making this vid. But yeah, man, right now I don't think there's anything more to speak on or anything more to add. I can do a quick little search of the typical Twitter account. Shout out to LT Arsenal, and he's a good little guy with all this. And AFC Bell, them guys, I don't know how they're always on job with everything. And obviously you've got the Mr. Arsenics and things like that, people tracking Torreira's plane. When the man there tracked Torreira's plane when he was coming to Arsenal, I realised these lot are different. But there's nothing really new there. Yeah, none of these Twitter guys are reporting anything new, really. Anything that hasn't been said already, folks, really and truly. So, yeah, I'm not going to bore you lot anymore with this sort of stuff, man. I'm just going to get out of here. On that note, people, it's always a pleasure. DG.